So this side of the table is actually North Korea. As you can see, we've got some South Korean soldiers. North Korea over there. Beware the Ides of March. Yeah, I don't know what that means either. But in other words, welcome to 15th of March 2017 and welcome back to my channel, First World Traveller. Now, I'm doing something a little bit special today. It's probably something I've been looking forward to for the entire trip so far. So, welcome to Seoul, South Korea. I am today doing a tour to the DMZ. In other words, demilitarized zone. This is a stretch of land between North Korea and South Korea. It's going to be very interesting. Later on in this video I will be stepping into North Korea momentarily, so watch out for that. I'll be telling you a bit more about what I'm going to be doing on the way, so let's go. And in other news, you can see my hair has changed. My ponytail is making an epic return. Let's hope they don't mind that in North Korea. So here we are at the DMZ. There's an obligatory selfie opportunity right behind me. So just to give you a bit of information about how North Korea and South Korea were formed. So Korea was ruled by the Japanese from 1910 to 1945, which was the end of the Second World War. It was then split into North and South Korea. There was peace, no problem, until 1950, so 5 years, until 1950 when the North Koreans decided to invade South Korea. Basically, it was all about communism, so they sided with the Russians, the Soviet Union and China, and with their help invaded South Korea. And at one point, South Korea was on the verge of being completely taken over if it wasn't for the Americans, because they cut off all the food supplies to North Korea and South Korea was able to fight back. And over the next couple of years, until 1953, it was basically back and forth until it got to a point of stalemate or deadlock, where it was going nowhere for either side, so they decided to sign a peace treaty. The Korean War is not over. It still happens now. So there were bombings, etc. You're about to see something which is another example of how it continues. So yeah, very interesting if you've not been here before, because I literally knew nothing about the Korean War, so it's good to learn about these things. Now, if you are North Korean, life isn't fantastic because food is scarce, power is scarce in North Korea. So what do you do if you want to get rid of that life and have a better life and escape to South Korea? Well, you can't go over the border to South Korea because pretty much you'll be shot and killed. So what people have to do is they escape to China, to the north. They have to learn the language in China and basically stay there for a period of time and pretend to be Chinese. Also, they can go to places like Thailand and visit the Korean embassy and basically kind of seek asylum in South Korea, which South Korea then grant for humanitarian reasons. Okay, one of the things you can do on this tour is visit the third Infiltration Tunnel. What is this? So after the Korean War, right up until the 90s, so from 1974 to 1994, the South Koreans discovered 4 separate tunnels which the North Koreans dug under the demilitarized zone after the war in order to invade South Korea in the future. However, these were all discovered. This is one of the tunnels. Now, if you remember the last time I was in a tunnel in Vietnam, so just crawling on my hands and knees through the 2G tunnels. Tell you, it's claustrophobic as hell. Yeah, this is not like that. You can actually walk through it, although you need to duck a little bit, and it really does your back in. It's really interesting to see how the North Koreans were desperate to invade South Korea after the war. They weren't taking no for an answer. Unfortunately, you can't take photos or videos down there. You can definitely do it. It's slightly claustrophobic, but not too bad. If you've got a back problem, I'd say it could be a bit of an issue, because my back is killing me right now. Okay, we're now at the Dora Observatory. Basically, it's a point where you can see North Korea. So behind me, and in that shot just a second ago, that is North Korea. One thing you'll notice about North Korea is that the landscape is very different to South Korea. It's brown and there's no trees. The reason there are no trees is because the North Koreans cut them down so they can see more easily people that are attempting to escape to South Korea. And here's a bit of a closer view of North Korea. North Korea over there. Now, North Koreans are very curious about South Korean culture. So a bit of a funny story. Along the demilitarized zone are 11 speakers. There's now 10, I'll tell you why in a second, which were used by the South Koreans to broadcast propaganda up until 20 years ago in the 90s. Last year, in August 2016, 2 South Korean soldiers had their legs blown off by landmines which were placed in the demilitarized zone by the North Koreans. The North Koreans denied it, and in retaliation, the South Koreans decided to broadcast something over the speakers to taunt the North Koreans, basically. And what was it? Gangnam Style. Classic. And the reason there's now 10 speakers is because the North Koreans weren't keen on Gangnam Style, so they blew one of the speakers up with a missile. Madness. As you can see, we've got some South Korean soldiers walking ahead of me, all doing their military service, of course. So we're now at the last stop on the DMZ tour before we start the next part of the tour. This is Dorasan Station. So this is a train station that was built in 2002, which is a station that links South and North Korea. Unfortunately, it's never been used because you can't go from North to South Korea.
Can you see? Holding hands together, right? Holding hands together. South Korea, North Korea, holding hands together. We wish for the reunification. So that's why we make the roof like that.
Cindy just said, good old Cindy, this station is all about the reunification of Korea, or the hopeful reunification of Korea. So we're now in Dorasan Station. Behind me you can see all the X-ray and immigration section, which has never been used in 15 years since it was built. That is crazy. Okay, one of the things you can do is pay 1,000 won to go down onto the platform, which is also called the Unification Platform. So ahead of me is South Korea, back that way is North Korea. So as you can see behind me, at one point or another in 2002, George Bush was here conducting the age-old ceremony of holding a black board marker above a piece of concrete. Good old George Bush. And if you want a little memento of your trip, when you come here, you can stamp yourself a little passport stamp onto your ticket, which you can keep. Obviously it's not a real one, however it's a nice little memento to say that you've been to the border with North Korea.
If you like to move around, you can't see. Just start bringing the furniture.
So this side of the table is actually North Korea. Those microphones on the table mark the border between North Korea and South Korea.
I'll hurry and take your photographs because we don't have much time. Once you finish taking your photographs, please form 2 lines again.
So let me just tell you what the hell I've just been doing and what all that was about. So I'm in the JSA, which is the Joint Security Area. Basically it is the only area in which North Koreans and South Koreans are in the same area, basically. However, back in the day there used to be guard posts for North Koreans and South Koreans in the same area, and there turned out there were 3 North Korean ones which were surrounding a South Korean guard post. And the only way you could see this South Korean guard post was from another South Korean guard post. However, the view was blocked by a large tree. So one day in 1984 they decided to trim this tree so they could see the South Korean guard post. However, when they did this, the North Koreans used it as an opportunity to attack, and they axed to death with an axe a load of US military personnel. Ever since then, the guard posts were changed, so on this side in South Korea there's now only South Korean guard posts, and the North Korean ones are on their side. So those blue buildings are conference rooms, and as you saw, those microphones on the table indicate where the border is between North Korea and South Korea. So as you'd expect, the reason why there isn't a lot of footage of this place is because you cannot take footage or photos literally anywhere unless you are told to do so by the US Army. So if you're going to come to the JSA and the DMZ, you need to be on your best behaviour big time. I would describe the atmosphere as tense, to say the least. So when you're standing in front of those blue buildings, you have to do exactly what the soldiers are telling you. Stand in the right way, stand exactly where they're telling you, face the right direction, don't make any gestures towards North Korea because they are watching you via camera and also the soldiers across the way. You don't want to get accused of being a spy or generally be killed by the North Koreans, because it is a very hostile area and very tense, as I said. So all in all, it's probably one of the best things I've ever done in any trip ever. I'm not exaggerating, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, when you're in Korea, there's a reason why this is the #1 thing to do in Korea, because it is absolutely fantastic. And as you can see behind me, we've got some US soldiers. Hello boys. So I'm back in Myeongdong on my way back from my hostel. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it as interesting as I did. It was fascinating, absolutely amazing. Now of course there are plenty of other things you can do in Seoul, so stay tuned and click on the playlist coming up next to my head to watch my next things to do video in Seoul. Wonderful, I'll catch you later. Oh, bollocks. Now, okay, I'm back in Myeongdong, coming up next to my head for my next not Singapore. You can't go from north to south. So we're now in, what's it called again? Shitting Jesus.